Good afternoon. This is Gloria Nelson with User Group, TUG. And before we get started with today's webinar, I would like to give a shout out for TUG Connects 2020. It will be taking place March 8 to 11 at the Hilton Anatole in downtown Dallas, Texas. So make sure you not only save the dates, but more importantly, registration is open so you can jump over to our TUG landing page and register today. I want to give you a little tidbit of information with regard to the upcoming keynote speakers. On Monday, March 9th, Nick Tassler, who is an author and thought leader, will deliver the keynote. He's an internationally acclaimed thought leader, organizational psychologist, and #1 best-selling author of 4 counterintuitive books on the art and science of making decisions and leading change. And on Tuesday, we will be hearing from the new Infor CEO, Kevin Samuelson, on the changes coming from Infor, and also from Kelly Squizero, who is Infor's Director of Industry and Solution Strategy, on changes and distributions in the distribution industry. So save the dates now and watch for the TUG website for more information in terms of detailed agenda that will be coming out. Again, registration is open, so we encourage you to hop on over and capture your place within the program before all those rooms are gone. So without further ado, I am going to turn the presentation quickly over to Gord Crober while I turn the screen over to Andy Weith, and they will take it from here. Go ahead, gentlemen.
Thank you much.
Okay. Thanks, Gloria. This is Gord. So I'm the network lead. A lot of people on the call perhaps met me before. To those who haven't, I look forward to meeting you, maybe in Dallas. So just to expand on Gloria a little bit.
Gord,
and I'm getting
Gord, excuse me, but we've got tremendous feedback coming through your microphone all of a sudden. Do you have a headset that you can pop on?
Is that any better?
A little bit. You're still sounding like you're reverberating.
Don't know if there's much I can do about that.
Here, I think I got you, Gord, because I think you're on the phone and the computer, so I muted you on computer.
Yeah.
There you go. You're good now.
How's that? I'm good?
That's wonderful. Thank you. Sorry about that, gentlemen.
That. Okay. So, yeah, back to TUG Connects for just a bit. I want to mention that we've got the content that I've seen for the whole conference is great, and there's always a lot of great sessions in the warehouse management world. Infor's going to be doing a number of presentations. ASWGC will be there, a lot of the hardware companies, and other, we've got PathGuide actually at our network day along with Infor to talk about the Infor compatible warehouse management software that's out there. And I'm also interested to hear about the new SCE product by Infor. So just a quick, Gloria mentioned there's going to be some further agenda stuff posted on the TUG site with regard to TUG Connects. The network day itself is March 8th. It's the Sunday, the first day of the conference. There's going to be content in the form of safety and warehousing, hardware and advancements, a lot of good user demos, and as I mentioned, Infor and PathGuide, and the typical roundtables and subject matter expertise sharing that we do. So that's always a great day. Andy, you feel free to expand a little bit more on that too. You've been at a number of them, led a number of them, but I look forward to seeing people there. And I guess that's all I had for right now. You'll see more develop as time draws near. And I'll turn it over to Andy now. Andy is still the technical subject matter expert with our group, and I'll never know half of what he knows about the software. So I appreciate Andy here to help us with the enhancement request today. So that's it from me. Thanks.
Thanks, Gord. Yeah, the only thing I'll add is for those of you that are new to the conference, making sure that you understand that this Sunday, March 8th, is typically seen as a day before the conference, but not really. It's a major component to the conference, the network meeting day. And we do have a number of warehousing and operations focused sessions throughout the conference, but this is a full day meeting and a lot of content just for the WMS folks. So don't miss it and spread the word. Okay. Every time we do this, we got to go through the basics of how the enhancement request system works, how to get there and all that stuff. So pardon me if you've been on a number of these, but there are some folks that I'm sure are new to these webinars and new to the enhancement request system. So I'm going to go through that stuff quickly. And I've whittled it down, hopefully, to just a few minutes. But we start at, we get to the Infor Extreme login. You should have one of those at your company. You can always set up more if you don't personally have one. And through there, you'll have access to the enhancement request system as well. So clicking on that's going to open up another tab and it's going to bring you in here. I realize that this is Infor's global enhancement request system. So every single one of their customers is using this. If you were around or you recall years ago when this first came about, the distribution industry was one of the first that got to beta test this new ERS and help build it to where it is. So, we take pride in helping Infor get it to where it is today. And we just need to make sure that we're using it. A couple tweaks along the way have occurred. One of those that we need to be aware of is if you don't vote on this stuff, it doesn't get enough votes, it gets scrapped. It's going to get wiped off the list. So we'll see that in a little bit. When you look in there for TWL enhancement requests, there's not 500 of them. There's like 20 of them because anything that didn't make the cut is gone. Okay. That being said, once we're in here, you have to look in a few different places for TWL. There's 3 different buckets. If I just search TWL, I'm going to see Infor distribution SX.e TWL. I'm going to see those that are supposed to be web UI specific, and then a general TWL total warehouse logistics bucket as well. Could probably use some cleaning up and we could ask Infor to do that. I don't know how a 3rd bucket got added, because I think there were only 2 last time we did this a couple months ago. You also must be licensed for the product to be able to see these enhancement requests. So if you're not currently a licensed TWL user, you're not going to be able to see those enhancement requests in here. Likewise, if you're not using Mingle or something like that, you're not going to see those enhancement requests, but everything's all in one spot. Your screen might look a little bit different from the next person because they're licensed for different things than you are. You're also going to see some familiar looking functionality on websites. Like there's blue here that's in bold, and then things that have been grayed out, right? So these are simply enhancement requests that I have accessed in the past and have already read and checked out. And the blue ones are the new ones, right? Quite logical there. We're going to get into the first one here and just use it as an example of how the process works. You have a few options. Let me get this panel out of the way. Up at the top. Of course, this is the one that's closed, so they're not working. But you have 3 options here: endorse, reject, and acknowledge. And they mean very different things. And this is how we've been explaining it to everyone and how I understand it. Endorsing means, yes, Infor, you're going to dedicate so much development time to improving this TWL application. If you've only got X number of hours, this would be one of the ones I want you to spend your time on. Reject would mean whatever this is going to change is not going to work for my business. Doesn't mean necessarily I don't like the idea, just the execution of it perhaps. If you make the changes the way that this person is suggesting you make them, it's going to break something for me or make my job harder or whatever it is. So along with a rejection can come a comment. You know what, Gilbert, if you change this, that, and the other, this would totally work for me. But for now, I have to reject it because it's a bad idea for me. Okay, and acknowledge just means I've read this, sounds like a decent idea, but if you've only got X number of hours to put into improving this product, this would not be one I would vote for. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. All right, and then Infor has asked us, there's a few different boxes down here. You're to fill out the description, if there is an existing workaround, and a proposed solution. And this is a little bit confusing because why would we put a proposed solution in there if we're not asking you for a solution? But they've said don't focus so much on the solution. We want you to be thorough in filling out the description, the business case, why this is a problem, what trouble is it causing you, why does it not work for your business, outline the workaround. If there is one, we have one. It takes a whole lot of time. This would make our lives easier, or there is no workaround. So this is really needed urgently. But it is their job and their purpose here to figure out how to best change the software to accommodate your request. So don't put 90% of the effort into the proposed solution, because Infor is going to build it in the way that they think it will work for all users of the software, not just you and what your request is. So put all the effort into the description. Hopefully that makes sense too. All right, and lastly, I find this to be a little bit backwards. After I've put in all the effort filling this thing out and I go to submit it, it's going to say, oh, I think that this sounds a lot like something else that's already out there. So perhaps first, before you submit an enhancement request, take a quick peek and see if anything out there exists already. Since there's so few for TWL, it's easy enough to just look through them. Or I think this is my computer being super slow, so we might have to deal with this today. You can search in any of these boxes. So you could search the title and say this has to do with replenishment or something like that, and see if there's any other enhancement requests out there that meet that criteria. Okay, so we left off at 46479 last time. The way this is going to work is I'm just going to dive into each one, read what the enhancement request is, and try and put that into some more practical terms. So hopefully it makes sense to everyone. And what I'd like you to do now, while we have a minute waiting for my slow computer, is to log into this site yourself so you can follow along and or vote. So one of the main challenges that I have as well is finding time to get in here and do this. So we can take advantage of this opportunity right now. Get in there, vote on these while we're talking about them, so you don't have to schedule time to come back and check them out. All right, so we're gonna dig into this one. Even though it's closed, we're gonna look it up and read through it. So Gilbert did submit this, and says here that sometimes primaries have to be filled even if there's no replenishment. User will realize there's multiple zones for an overstock location, wants to replenish the location instead to send the picks back to the primary, right? You have to do this via an unplanned replenishment to do so. But you can't see that the primary is empty at this time. The user should be able to see the min max in the location even if it's at 0. So his workaround is to go to inventory control 885, like primary setup. You scan the item and you can see the information about the primary. You see the min max at that time and know what you should do. And the proposed solution is if I just hit F6, I should be able to see the primary bin and min max. I believe if you do F6 and there's an inventory lookup, it tells you which one is a primary, but it doesn't tell you what the min max is. And I'm not sure why this is closed with.
Is it
he has said
Gilbert
himself. Yeah.
closed? Yeah, I think he might have gotten the answer. I'm just going to mention something here real quick, and that's that sometimes the TUG website and the portal is also a great thing to bounce questions off of, and might even avoid an ERS. And I know Gilbert was on there quite a bit. Maybe he got some answers that helped this out.
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. This is coming to mind now. I think he posted this out on the TUG board and said, hey, I submit this enhancement request. Can you guys vote on it? And someone responded and said, oh, try this. Or maybe he even was poking around and found out if you press the P button, it actually shows you which one's the primary and the information that he's looking for. So don't need an enhancement request anymore. Close it himself. But that's a great point, and I left that off. I got to include that on my list here, that once you have created an enhancement request, we're suggesting that you go to the TUG forum, right? So TUG connects this guy, and go out to the appropriate audience. In this case would probably be the WMS community, right? And post it out there and say, I just created this enhancement request. I want you to vote on it. And you should see that there's a ton of people doing this, right? Here's Nick. Here's my enhancement requests. And you can even include links back to them, which folks have said, if you do that, it makes my job super easy. I can just click right on your post, click on the link, it takes me in, and I'll give it a thumbs up for you. Cool. I think that's the arrow to the right way. Nope, of course it's not. All right. Next one in here, 50871. Also from Transit. In TWL, the only way to decide to print or not a packing list is by carrier. If you have a certain customer and you need one or don't need one, it just happens or doesn't, right? So if you're familiar with this functionality, the carrier record in TWL says print a packing slip or not and indicates what printer to go to, but there's no flexibility. It either happens all the time or doesn't happen at all. I want to be able to decide by customer if they get a packing list or not. Maybe they get something through EDI already or some automated notification. I don't want to print out a piece of paper and then throw it in the recycling bin, right? This is a fantastic idea. And like a lot of the functionality in TWL, the base functionality or the base parameter covers most of the scenarios to be functional and get you where you need to go, but we can take it a step further and make it a little bit more flexible, and taking something that's warehouse wide and having it flexible by customer sounds like a great step. I shouldn't say warehouse wide, it's by ship via air carrier. So I'm going to endorse this, and hopefully you did too. And then we'll move on to the next one. I don't think, Gord, just let me know if you think I'm mentioning anything about this, about how the workflow goes in here and all that. All right, next one, also from Transit. If you drop a wave with multiple carriers, meaning mixed carriers, so UPS and FedEx, and I drop them in the same wave, the carrier field in that screen for picking is blank because it's only going to display if it's the same for everything, right? Since carrier is the most frequently used for routing, I need to figure out a solution to this, right? So I need a solution that says it's for multiple carriers and maybe an additional lookup or something to help you see who those specific carriers are. And I agree, there is a challenge there. I can't possibly only pick orders if they're always for the same carrier without confusing people. I need some flexibility in here. Super duper. I think that's it for this bucket, right? It is. All right, I'm going to switch buckets. This is the screen that takes longest to load. Plan ahead. Or make it worse. Apologies for this. My computer is not happy today. Probably because it needs to install those Windows 10 updates and I refuse to do it. Come on, one of these work. If anyone has any questions or comments, like Gloria said, you can put them in the panel. And then we won't have to wait for my computer. We can keep talking about stuff. Just does not want to work.
Andy, I wonder.
Could you bring it up on yours real quick and flip? We can, if it's working faster, we can flip over to you.
Yep, just let me know if you want me to change presenter.
And what bucket are we in now? Is it?
I'm gonna go to. We were in the general. No, we were in web, I think. Yeah, we were in web. So I've got this one. Maybe the other one will catch up by the time we get there. I'll keep diving in this. If you can bring it up and get into that third bucket,
Gord, let me know when you want me to flip the screen over to you.
Yeah, okay.
The TWL one.
Yeah, I'm just getting that. Okay.
All right.
Give me a second.
Let's dive into the three in here. All right, I'll go. Thanks, Gord. I'll go through these while we're waiting for that to come up. All right, so 47686 is from Industrial Supply, and they've said several instances where we have a certain ship via pick pack stage of the order, then the customer says, oh, can you change this to a will call? We need to be able to unstage the entire order and change the carrier so we can accomplish this. Our workaround is to move the items from the carton they're in, because it's already packed, into a new carton, essentially repacking the entire order. They want to be able to unstage a carton with all of its contents from a pallet in one transaction. I'm not sure exactly what staging means. So that could mean using the staging functionality in TWL, or it could mean using carton sortation onto a pallet. But you can also change the carrier at that time. You should be able to. I'm going to ask some clarification. Are you using staging or sortation? And I'll follow up with Tyler directly as well. This is 47686. Okay. I don't think Tyler's on today. I'll look real quick. Don't see him. Okay. We'll move on. 49002 from Test Equity. Need to make the third description available in TWL and to get it on the RF so I can see it. I believe there is a workaround to this, and that is if you hit, isn't the third description visible if you hit the F6 lookup? If anyone knows, throw something in the question bank or chat panel. That's my question on this one. I think we'll need to test that to see. It may not be sent. The third line may not be sent to TWL at all. I think you only see the first line in the RF, and going to F6 shows you the second line, if I recall. Somebody can pitch in and say, yeah, that's true, if you know a lot about picking. 49002, and that is Test Equity Joanne. Super duper. Oops, I didn't post my comment. Hopefully I can sneak that in. Gilbert says you can press E for extended description. I'm going to check that out, man. Thank you for that. Get that out of there. Moving on to the next one, which this is not the next one. Maybe that was all for this bucket. Nope. 5416. Georgia R. Rule and Son. Need to be able to enter correct lot numbers during cycle counts. So I'm cycle counting. Currently, when doing cycle counts, if there's a discrepancy in the lot, you must back out and do a stock adjustment to rectify the lot numbers. Similar to physical inventories, allow the user to enter necessary change during the counts. I feel like I disagree with that. So I'm going to put in a reject and say cycle maybe some of you agree with me, some of you do not, but cycle counting, you're supposed to go and validate if the information matches what is on the shelf, right? So if there's supposed to be 10 widgets and there's 9, you're confirming that. If there's supposed to be 10 widgets and they're lot A, but they're lot B, you're confirming that or saying it's wrong, right? And that would be a cycle count being accurate or inaccurate. So I'm going to say whether it is quantity, location, lot, pallet number, etc. So having said that, I think for the most part, everyone agrees that all these changes should be parameter based. So even if we were going to change cycle counting to do this to make these folks happy, and it makes me unhappy because I don't want it to work that way. If it was simply a parameter that said allow changes during cycle count, it could be turned on or off. It doesn't need to change the core functionality with no flexibility to it operating a different way. That's really how changes should be made. All right, Gord, I'm good, I think. I got my second tab. Finally came up. So we'll go into that third bucket and get through the last few here, and then we'll be all done unless you guys have questions. And Glenn's got something. If you're changing the quantity on the shelf during cycle counts, then the lots and dates should be modifiable there as well. I guess that's a good point, because you could be making adjustments on the fly while cycle counting, right? Not just doing a count. That's a good point, Glenn. I missed one in the last section. We'll go back. Okay, thank you. All right, let's finish this bucket up first. 48076, Doug Russell. When directing a TWL user to pick inventory for the work center, does not follow the same pick sequence as in the order pick sequence setup. And there's actually no functionality in there for work orders at all, is it? It's sales orders, counter sales, WTs, POs. Big problem causing items to be picked from our retail space. I like that. Maybe it is there. Tom says it's there. I'm not gonna. This is a question out to you guys. Better planning in the future. We could do this. It will extend how long this session lasts by a little bit, but some of these things that we've talked about right here, I would love to go look at, and we could do it on screen right now. I could have TWL RF and TWL online or web open, and we could look. There's also a KB referenced here, so maybe there's already an answer on Infor Extreme, but rather than me jotting down notes and saying I'll check this stuff out and circle back and post it to the community, we could kind of troubleshoot it right now for a couple minutes, and hopefully that would work. So I'm going to do the same thing for this one. I'm going to go look into this and see if Tom is on the right track, and you can actually change this. So this is 48076, and that's kidding for Derek, Doug Russell. Got it. All right, 48915 from 10equip. When using stock, move, or replenishment, system automatically moves or prompts to move picks from the previous location where inventory was to the new one where you're moving to. We've noticed this functionality doesn't seem to work when using unplanned replenishment. You're doing the same thing, right? You're just moving stuff from one place to another, so why wouldn't the picks move? You're sure? Yeah. I mean, you should be given the option to move, but if you're moving all of the inventory, the picks would obviously have to move, because you can't be directed to a bin where there is no inventory to satisfy that. And so their workaround is to not use the unplanned at all. There really should be a pick move. I'm not super familiar with the functionality of unplanned not moving the picks. So another one I think we need to look into. 48915. Unplanned replenishments not causing pick moves. That really, to me, is not an enhancement request. That is a bug. That functionality should be there if that truly is operating that way. 49176 from GMS. Alex says, when you finish packing the last item into a carton, you're given the option whether or not to close the carton. If you accidentally choose no, meaning leave the carton open, there's no way to go back and close the carton, at least easily. It means if the carrier is a third party, a host controlled carrier, not a TWL controlled carrier, then there's no pack transaction created. And if you are using a third party shipping solution, you know that it won't be able to ship the order if that transaction is not found. So then you have to manually ship the order or some other stuff, and we don't have a workaround. Give us a function that allows you to close on demand. Janine agrees. Should be able to do it. I'm on board. Super duper. Let's see if we got one more in this bucket. I think that was it. My arrow is grayed out, so let's go back and see here if I missed one. Here's the first one. We're good. Here's the second one. We're good. Here's the third one. We didn't do 3 of them. Hi. We totally did these guys. I think it's because I have 2 tabs open. Add option to close. Yeah, so we did them all. Okay, we're at 30 minutes. Are there any other questions or comments? I think the feedback I'm looking for from you guys is, do we want to change anything about this? Without hearing your feedback, it's kind of hard to tell. I'm just reading stuff on a screen and doing some interpretation for the most part. But I want to make sure this is useful to everyone. And then also that comment I made, if you're okay with this being 45 minutes, I certainly don't want to keep folks on for an hour. But perhaps we can do these a little bit more frequently. We've been doing them like quarterly. We could do them every month or every other month, and there would only be 4 or 5 enhancement requests. Then we could take the time to spend that 5 minutes to actually go into TWL, look at what the person's talking about. Oh yeah, that is awful. That's not going to help us out very much. We do want to change that. I think we could do that and still keep it at 30 minutes or so. So either throw something in the question bank with your opinions on that, or email myself or Gord or Gloria or Gary, and that's totally fine. But I think we're done unless there are any other questions or comments, and I don't see any. So I'm good if everyone else is good. Thank you so much for your time today.
I just wanted to mention that the session is being recorded and it will be uploaded onto our webinar tab on the website. And as soon as that's done, it will be posted so you can either do a review, share it with a colleague, or share it with someone outside of our industry that would find it beneficial, that needs to become a TUG member. And as soon as that is available, I will post on the All Members page so you will each be notified in your inbox. Gentlemen, thank you so much again for enlightening everyone. We always appreciate the expertise that you both bring. And on that note, as they say in Hollywood, and Gary used to say, that's a wrap.
Thanks much.
Thanks.